Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For tonight's discussion, we'll be looking at the difference between freedom and liberty. Um, I believe these are two very important concepts that right now is being thrown around very loosely by those in mainstream media, and it would do us well to go ahead and take a look back at our roots to see how freedom and liberty were defined from the very beginning, as they are a crucial part of our Western civilization. So therefore, it is only behoove of us to go back to take a look at how the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans looked at these issues. Now, I'll be looking at a couple of articles where they'll be describing some key works. So one of the articles I looked at, just to get a baseline to start off, is Alexander Rosenthal Pugel's Reflections of Ancient and Modern Freedom. So he points out in the very beginning that the classical Greek philosophy has a strong connection in terms of freedom being tied to the concept of self mastery. So being able to control yourself freely without anyone else lording over you. So he argued that freedom and virtue exist in a necessary relationship. Freedom as self mastery is the foundation of the virtuous life. So therefore, there's a key connection between freedom and virtue as well. So people who are free were virtuous citizens as well. Now, Socrates breaks up into modern and ancient freedoms, and he also points out rational self government. And he points out negative freedom too, which I found kind of intriguing, which he said could be used for good or evil. Evil. So by itself, it was morally neutral unless you actually acted against it. So Aristotle emphasizes the rational and virtuous self mastery as two important concepts of freedom once again. Now, another primary source here is Demosthenes' Exordia, and he points out that wise deliberations of the matters of law and policy can't take place in an atmosphere of terror and repression in which everyone fears to speak his mind. So think about kind of what's going on today in politics, or even back then, where people may have been intimidated while they're trying to go and vote, things of that nature. So something to take into consideration as well. We need to have freedom to be able to make conscious decisions that may potentially have significant ramifications later on down the road. Um, so Aristotle on liberty points out it's the right of the ruled also to rule, and for a man to live as he likes. So it's very important because what two important elements he points out: the right of the ruled to also rule. So for them to concede power to someone that they have confidence in, and also for a man to live as he likes. So for a man to live freely. Another article I'll be looking at is Jeff Kennedy's Cicero, Roman Republicanism, and the Contested Meaning of Liberty, where he points out that liberty doesn't really reside in the silence of the laws, and he looks at Rome for inspiration. He points out Chaim Wachowski's analysis of liberty is the main Roman source used to describe liberty. So he points to the word liber, Liber, in the concept of a free man versus being a slave. Now he uses this to explain having one's own rights versus being subjected to someone else. So he also points out Cicero's two works, De la Repubblica, which was lost until 1820, and De Officiis. And Cicero wasn't concerned so much with liberty, but actually with the virtues of being what it means to be a good man and a good citizen. And the last article I'll be looking at is Welsh's articles, and she looks at politics as well. And she addresses freedom in light of democracy. She uses the term eleutheria, which is liberty or freedom, and she argues that freedom is the capacity to direct oneself to these ends, which one's reason rightly recognizes as choice worthy. So some salient themes that we have going on here in regards to liberty and freedom are connected to morality and connected to virtue. So I thought these were very important concepts going into the founding of our nation, where Christianity is a central point and is a central foundation upon which our country was founded. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your comments and your thoughts. And one funny joke to cap off the night. I have the freedom to choose which barber I go to, because this barber, this was supposed to be a 3 on top. This is not a 3 at all. So I'll make sure I exercise the freedom to choose my barber next time. Thank you. Have a good night.